Back again, another week for the Bearded Bros Golf Show. I'm Rod,
And I'm Marcus.
and we have a pretty packed show this week. It's been a little bit slow coming off the Masters, but a lot of news this week with first time PGA Tour winner Bryson DeChambeau looking real, real small and unhealthy.
Frail.
Rory McIlroy talks about his mental health struggles and needing to take time off after the Masters, as well as some Champions Tour drama and the international, I think it's Crown Cup on the LPGA drama
Hmm.
there as well. So, ton of topics to delve into. Getting text message already. Ton of topics to delve into and really, just dive into. So let's hit it. So this week, Wyndham Clark, first time winner on the PGA Tour. His name has been near the top of leaderboards for quite some time. So not a surprise that he was able to finally capture it. He looks the part. Big, strong guy. Hits it a ton. Um, what do you think about him getting his win? How much did other coverage did you catch? And what do you think about his game going forward? As we've been asking all year with all these first time PGA Tour winners.
Yeah. I think I feel like a couple of years ago he was really charging, like really contending on the PGA and putting himself on the leaderboard and stuff. So not a surprise to see him finally get one. But yeah, I mean, just played a really solid round today and didn't make any true mistakes and nobody came and got him. Like yesterday was the funnest day of the event because it was a lot of moving, a lot of great shot shapes, a lot of great shot making and stuff like that. So really feel like Saturday made the tournament, but also, I mean, like he did what he was supposed to do today and went ahead and cashed in. So I think that's a really good mark on him that he didn't fold under pressure, on that last round and shoot. I mean, anything like around par or over par or whatever, something like that would happen where he would choke it away, but he went ahead and
Yeah.
stepped up. So that was good to see. But I mean, just like
Even,
we
even
said,
though he did start off a little bit
he
wobbly.
started off rocky, bogeyed the
Yeah.
bogeyed the first hole, and was already in the Coley when I popped
hmm
in. I felt like I saw round 1, 2, and 3 a lot. Round 4, like, I mean, just personally, we was dealing with like a lot of weather, like in Houston, so we were at the course trying to get people like really settled in before we could close down our course a little bit earlier today. So I didn't really get
Yeah.
a good look at the final round, but I saw enough to know that Wyndham Clark he did a good job.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was pretty anticlimactic. It wasn't a really great final round in terms of action. Trying to
Right.
see if Xander would get the putter hot, and he had opportunities coming down the stretch to try to close the lead, put a little bit of pressure on, but he was coming up short, wasn't able to kind of make it interesting at the end, and Clark ended up extending his lead again, like you stated, had a solid last round to really shut the door and kind of catapult his career in an elevated event. I think it means a little bit more than just a standard tour win. Hopefully this, again, I think we've talked about this all year, and I think about this every time we see somebody else with big game come through, is that the PGA's tour is not having a hard time replacing some of those defections and people that have left for live. And so it's just really good to see the
Right.
younger guys come into play and really, step up and just give us new names to look forward to going forward. All these younger guys are really doing their thing these days, so really appreciating that.
Definitely.
But the question that we have to ask though is, as the Bearded Bros Golf Show, should Wyndham Clark actually be sporting a beard? So we put this man up here on the screen. I'm not a huge fan of his beard game. We're going for the scruffy look, and he's got the traditional masculine chin, but I don't know, man. I don't know about this scruffy beard, and if he should be part of the beard gang. What do you think about his beard setup here?
I think, yeah, a couple of these pictures, he looks like he's definitely forcing the beard. Like, it's okay to look well groomed, bro. Like, you're okay to look like you have class. It's no problem for you to line it up, and kind of like just take it away. I mean, maybe even do like the little chin strap, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe just like a goatee. The full beard look is just, we're gonna work on it, Wyndham. We're gonna
Yeah,
work on it.
he's
The look
he's got
isn't
some
there though right
places to.
now.
Yeah, he's got to get that top line filled in or just more defined
Yeah,
something. I agree. I think he's a goatee guy. That looks
yeah,
very prominent on him, but I agree that something doesn't feel right here. It's kind of like a few years ago, like John Rahm grows facial hair so damn fast that he'd
man.
start the tournament he'd go a little high on the chin on his beard, and then by the end of the tournament, like he'd have hair pretty much up to his eyeballs, kind of like you do when you let yours grow in. He
Stop.
gets real high on the face. So,
Chill.
um, yeah, you have to poke the
Chill.
beard a little bit. But yeah, so everybody can't pull off the beard, but congrats to Wyndham Clark for doing his thing. And yeah, we'll move on from here. All right. Next on the list, we had Rory just kind of talking about his mental health going into the week and needing to take time off after the Masters. We heavily discussed, where he was at, how disappointing he was. May being Mental Health Awareness Month, I couldn't think of a better time to actually discuss this topic. I've had a video in the past where we are talking about a golfer who's struggling with mental health. It's something that's near and dear to me. I think just from a personal standpoint, I feel like humans are always kind of on the cusp of, something going wrong the wrong way, taking the wrong bounce. And, just maintaining your own sanity is a huge part of today's, struggles and things that we go through. So hearing Rory talk about it and him needing to take a step away from golf as he's been the ambassador for the PGA Tour, I think really hit home for me in terms of hearing him finally say that versus, just feeling like he wasn't up to the task to perform. And I think, reference that there's something mental going on there. And I just thought it was him struggling with the competition aspect, but it seemed to be a bigger issue. What are your thoughts on Rory's mental health and him just being transparent about it and how it affects, the golfer and this being a mental game in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think really just him coming up on a birthday, it being like the May the 4th or whatever it was, like last week. Think he just really has had time to come to terms with what's really going on. And I mean, just commendable in general for him to know and at least be able to understand that. And I feel like if he would have brought this forward a little bit earlier, people would have been kind of like not on his case for missing the RBC Heritage and pulling out of that or whatnot, or whatever, or missing events from time to time and stuff. Because clearly, if you're still looking to close it and get the Grand Slam, and you just having such bad moments at the Masters, like that stuff, that pressure builds up, and of course, you know it just adds up, and it definitely showed for Rory. And I mean, it was just a lot of pressure, and whether
Yeah.
it be, I mean, I don't know, it's tough. I mean, the game is so fickle. It's like you have to have such a positive mindset, anyways, to kind of get through a lot of the bad golf that you play in between the good golf that you are on a
Right.
run with. So completely understandable from any standpoint of golf, whether it be amateur, crappy, or competitive golf. So for him to come forward is very respectable and commendable, as I was saying. So yeah,
Yeah, I think it's something that has to be more at the forefront. I mean, it's still something there's a
yeah,
stigma around talking about it or admitting that you're having some mental struggles. I know that, a lot of PGA Tour players have a mental game coach with them, and just talk about this more frequently. And I appreciate that. But I also think it comes down to the struggles with leaderships, just leadership in general, and people not necessarily knowing what they need to step into a leadership role. There's a lot of pressure on him
yep,
to kind of be that face and speak heavily about it. And so, it's very much something that you have to know who you are as a human being before you entangle yourself and have to be the face of something.
right,
Shout out to our mom. She says playing on that level is a lot of pressure. and kudos to
Definitely.
him in getting the help. So yeah, you have to be, very aware of that. If you struggle with it, being able to reach out to somebody, I say a professional is always the way to go about that. It's a
Definitely.
neutral person that doesn't have skin in the game. So kudos to Rory for talking about it, bringing more awareness to it. So if somebody else is out there struggling with mental health, there are resources available to do so. You don't have to go at it alone. So let's move on a little bit. But overall, I mean, one number of different storylines that were from Quail Hollow. Rory didn't perform very well here. He made it to the weekend, one above the cut line. Didn't really, I think he ended up in 47th place. Uh, Patrick Cantlay, sidebar, just a notable thing, now has Joe LaCava on the bag
Right.
permanently. That's for those of the
Full
uninformed,
time.
Tiger's caddy. So what does that mean for Tiger? Who knows? I know he just had a surgery a couple of weeks ago after some of the damage that he incurred at the Masters. Joe LaCava clearly, I'm sure, was getting taken care of by Tiger, but
Right.
would probably like to play, get out there on a bag more than
Yeah, I want to
4 to 5
play.
times a year. So first round, Patrick Cantlay shot a 67. Um, didn't really get a lot of TV coverage this week, but what do you think about this change from the Tiger aspect and also hopefully to benefit Patrick Cantlay in the long term?
Yeah, that was my thought precisely. Is good on Joey, good on Tiger. Tiger being, think really at this point, Tiger's just a lot more human, not a lot, not really selfish and egotistical and stuff like that. Knows really when he needs to relinquish some of that stuff. So good on him to let Joey go and get him a real full-time job again. Let him be on the bag of somebody that's going to be on the tour, going to be a face of the tour. So again, Joey getting paid off very nicely. And then, Tiger sparingly going to be playing anyways and just really trying to be prepping for majors and things like that. So I know he has somebody in his circle that can just hop on the bag and be fit enough to get it through for a week or two out the year. Really prep up for like major runs after this, and because he's pretty much on the end of that. And then by the time he gets to the PGA Champions, he'll be in a cart anyway. So again, I think a lot of that stuff it's already kind of like in the in the forefront for him. He's already thinking about it and kind of getting it in the picture, and so I think that's a good thing for him. And I think hopefully it pushes Cantlay to play better, play at a more elite level, play a little bit more proficient. So maybe he can give him that little kick in the tush to get him to play a little bit faster.
Yeah,
We're always looking for that, but
I think we've
very,
seen
very
that
good
quite a
look.
I think we've seen that quite a bit on the PGA Tour with people switching caddies, getting a different look, and
Yeah,
being able to capitalize that, hearing a different voice. Typically, I mean, back in the day, I felt like people switch caddies quite a bit. Yes, there are notable players with their caddies, whether it be Jim Furyk and Fluff, people that they were just synonymous with each other. But I think having a different point of view, different outlook. You're not hearing the same messages. Someone that can remotivate you on the bag versus a week to week. Maybe you get too comfortable. Maybe that the back and forth that we hear from like a Jordan Spieth and Michael Greller is just you don't typically see that week to week. Just that
right.
ongoing commentary and just keeping it fresh. So yeah, shout out to Patrick Cantlay for making that switch. Shout out to Tiger for being giving enough and taking the ego out of it and just being saying yes, you can go work,
Facts.
enjoy yourself, go make money, make a living. So shout out to all parties involved. And yeah, I like Patrick Cantlay as a player, but hopefully this also picks up his pace as well, and we can
Exactly.
go see him do what his talent dictates that he should be able to do on the course.
Definitely.
You mentioned Tiger in the cart. So from the Champions Tour this weekend,
Great
had a
segue.
little bit of little bit of drama with Paul Guidos. So the reason I wore this buttoned up polo this week. This is a look that
His
me and
signature look.
Marcus both enjoy. But Paul Guidos is a pro player that honestly he's one of the first that I saw doing this. So that's Paul Guidos, kind of journeyman golfer, played on the PGA Tour forever, won a handful of events, has won 5 on the Champions Tour, but not in the last 6 years. But he had this, interesting tweet, which has now since been deleted, talking about now I am at a competitive disadvantage walking on the Champions Tour. If the PGA Tour had a commissioner that had an ounce of leadership skills, he would ban them. I'm fine with the ADA exceptions. It's a total clown show. And I'm going to scroll down, let this play down. And this is a par 3 that he's taken a picture of or has a picture of. And you see all these carts, all these carts, 3 that I count, moving away from this green. And you can see how close they are to the green. It's an interesting setup. And so, yeah, PGA Tour Champions has had carts as long as I've been aware of it, but maybe there's some people that necessarily don't need it. There's still some guys out there walking it.
Yeah.
He brings up in his tweet storm because he was actually responding to people, for several hours after the original tweet went up regarding seeing a player drive his cart up to the green, to check the yardage, see, just get a better scope at the green and then walk back to his ball, which was over 100 yards from the green, and just really spoke to his frustrations. I don't know who told him to take the tweet down, but very interesting. What are your thoughts on carts in golf, professional golf? And when you play, would you prefer to walk, cart it? What are your thoughts on carts on the pro level first?
Yeah, on the pro level, I think that the PGA Tour for sure needs to be walking, and no exceptions need to be granted for that. But the PGA Tour champions, I mean, not saying that you've earned your right to use a cart because you're over 50 and you've played, 20, 30 years of professional golf. But I mean, I do think that that kind of keeps their body in check. And really a lot of those guys do have, I'm just, no, let me just say that I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody because I don't know everybody's situation. Honestly could be game in the system. I feel like
Yeah,
besides John Daly, who we all know has a messed up leg, despite all of his other issues, he really does have a messed up leg. So I definitely think he needs that cart. So, like, besides that, I don't really know the ins and outs of the Champions Tour like that to know who really is hurting. But
yeah,
Goidos is not lying. I mean, like, if you're like Jim Furyk, if you're like, Miguel Angel Jimenez, who still play professional golf at the regular tour level, those guys are still in shape enough to walk 72 holes. So I think a lot of those guys are kind of like, I can walk at my pace and, get away with it. But these guys that are in the cart, they're fresher, they're getting a more of a vantage point, of course, just like what we said, just like what he pointed out, being able to drive
yeah.
all the way up to the green in the cart just to see what it looks like, where the flag is at. You might as well pull a rangefinder out. Like what? Like what?
That I can get with. I think when you're talking about professional golf, whether no matter what the level is, if you're getting paid to be out there and competing, I think the rules should be standard across the board. So either everyone has a cart or no one has a cart. And if you get
Yeah.
to the point physically that you can't walk, let's just say we take carts out of the equation. If you get to the point where you physically can no longer walk a course, then it's time to hang it up and stop playing professionally, right? That's
Okay.
to me, that's the standard because walking a golf course over 3 days does have an impact on your game, having some stamina and conditioning. And so being able to, let's say, if you walk the course, what is it? 5 miles. If I'm trying to think back to my Fitbit days when it tracked, the miles.
Probably closer to like 6 or 7, depending
Yeah,
upon the course.
but you do that over 3 days, and let's say you just are in a cart, you're cutting that down by a third, right? Your walking is minimal, walking
Right.
to greens, different things like that. So I agree with him. I think where he probably got a little bit out over his skis was talking about the PGA, the PGA Tour commissioner Jay Monahan. I think that gets you in trouble when you go
Right.
straight for the top. That ultimately becomes the problem versus
Definitely.
addressing it in whatever channels that they have to go speak about rules and talk about these things. And it's kind of the sign of the times. Even 60-something-year-old men get on Twitter and voice their opinion. So what can we
Yeah.
expect, right? That's just where the public discourse has come along. We had a quick question here that I want to answer. It says, did Tiger use a cart when he was injured? So no. On the PGA Tour, that's
Yeah.
definitely a no. I remember back in the day, Tiger's actually teammate, I think at Stanford, Casey Martin, trying to challenge the PGA Tour to get a cart out there, and that was ultimately unsuccessful. And I think maybe I don't know, I can't remember the exact details, but I remember that being a big deal, and ultimately him just losing out on that challenge after a couple of court cases and whatnot. So yeah, so no for Tiger. I don't think he would competitively do that.
Yeah.
I think again above his pride, but I do think the PGA, the Champions Tour, does need to come up with some type of solution around the
Yeah.
cart issue and really not figure out what the parameters are and not let guys get away with exceptions that may or may not qualify for those exceptions to be in the cart during events.
Agreed.
Um, anything on I want to say on the amateur level, because actually this goes beyond this. So in a couple of shoe videos that I've posted in the past, you see the comments section and people discussing um, golfing in other countries.
Walkability and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I don't know, to me in the US versus what I see across the, internationally, and courses that are accessible to the public, link style courses seem to be set up more for walking.
Yeah.
Temperatures also being withstanding, even walking in Texas in the summer when it's 100 plus degrees, or in Houston, the humidity's, at 100, percent or whatever. I don't even know how feasible that is, even if you're walking off a green immediately to the next tee box. That seems like that can be pretty brutal. I mean, hell, the
Right.
PGA Tour schedule is set up around weather conditions and being temperate and
Exactly.
being able to be hospitable. So, what are your thoughts on kind of, let's say, all things considered, 80-degree day, walking versus karting? What is your preference?
It really just depends on the course and I guess how in shape or how good I'm feeling at that moment. I would prefer like I mean, I feel like in my younger days I would definitely have a little bit more pride and be like, no, it's fine, like we can walk like if need be. But I mean, nowadays, I mean, the elevation changes that at my home course and most of the courses that we typically try to play up in your neck of the woods back at home, like there's just a lot more elevation change. And then of course being in not so temperature wise like advantageous place, especially in the like the heat of our season, I would say it's definitely unbearable. I mean, even if we had a cool breeze, dry heat, it's still very unbearable. Like it just is what it is. Now, if we were in like a 70-degree temperature, 60-degree temperature where the weather isn't affecting our overall fatigue and it's really just a nice breeze or something like that, no problem. And of course, like link style golf, flat surfaces, a lot of really like, all right, I'm on this hole, I'm next to the next hole I'm playing, and it's all
Yep.
in a circle or all in a line like that. Then yeah, I mean, you just got to man up and do that because a lot of those courses are set for you to walk or have a caddy or something like that to where you need to be walking anyway. So I definitely see both sides of that, and I feel like it's definitely really just a dependent upon case by case. So
Okay.
it's not as unfortunately it's not as black and white as we would like it to be. There is
Yeah.
some gray area, but I mean, as far as like competitive, like going into being a professional and things like that, yes, you need to start, looking towards walking more and doing things like that. So for my PAT.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
For like my PAT and stuff like that, like I get to card it, especially being 36 holes in one day and thing like that. But like when I'm on the bag for my boy Michael, as you know, like we're hoofing it most of the time because it's like kind of like the caddy has to walk anyway. So it's kind of like, let's all just walk so that he can stay with me. We can always have something to talk about, always stay in the game. So it's always worked out that way instead of him being on the cart, me walking, then all of a sudden we're getting together for yardage where he's already up at the ball,
Yeah.
shot it. Like you don't even need me.
Yeah.
So
That's weird.
to make
But
it
I think
useful, yeah. But anyways,
I think when it comes to walking, I personally enjoy it just because the same way you talk about y'all staying in the game is
yeah,
something that I
for
feel
sure.
like something about having some space between shots or getting to your ball. Let's say you hit a the not so great shot, you have some time to walk to your next shot, think about it, regather yourself. I think I like that aspect of it. Always
Hmm.
have. I think I tend to play a little bit better when I'm walking. But then this comes to the next question that's highly divisive across the golf community, particularly amateurs: carry your bag or a push cart. I know I can do a push cart. I love it. Whether that's just having extra space to store stuff, just kind of your phones or whatever the case may be. If you want to have a small little speaker or an umbrella or something hanging off of your push cart, where do you fall on that? Push cart or carry a new bag?
I like both. I mean, again, it really depends on the weather, bro. Like if it's like 70 degrees, 60 degrees, like when we go out and play in the winter and stuff like that, when it's like 50 degrees and stuff like that, it keeps you warm. Like if I'm push carting it on a 50-degree day where it's kind of breezy, I'm gonna be freezing if I'm just pushing my cart and withstanding wind and then being out in the elements. Like if I have a bag on me, then I have some warmth. I have something to keep me working and keeping the
Okay.
lather going. But I am full on pro push cart. Like there is not a day where I'm gonna judge or flame anybody for using a push cart. I am pro push cart. Now when you get
Okay.
into like the $250 push cart where you have the umbrella attachment, then you have the
Little
side saddle
seat.
seat, all right, bro, we might be doing a little too much.
No, man, I don't think you could. I mean, hell, with slow play being what it is today, I feel like that seat is necessary at some points. Um,
Kind of.
I've been pro push cart since I started playing. I think back in the day, you kind of tried to clown me about the push cart. I'm glad you've come around to that side of the fence, but to me, I think it's like the ultimate, I guess, dad upgrade to get a push cart.
No,
I don't
for
know.
real.
There's no shame in it, and you see, even on the PGA tour, not PGA tour, but college,
College golfers, yeah.
level, they're doing they're rocking the push cart.
The
So
girls do it a lot. The guys, they're still broing it out and stuff like that. And I'm like,
I
okay.
don't know. I've been seeing a handful more. I might be mistaken, but I'll even want to say Sam Bennett, who competed, greatly in the Masters this year. I
Hmm.
think he was rocking the push cart, an event that I caught him in last year. So, yeah, I
Okay.
think it's coming around. It takes a few people to to step outside of the box and set the trend to make
True.
push carts acceptable. But yeah, they can get pricey. You're not lying. I've had mine probably for a good 10 years at this point, and I'm not. The brakes hardly don't work, and I'm still holding on to that bad boy because it's just an investment that I don't want to have to do too often.
Exactly. It's like a
Um,
travel bag. I mean,
oh,
we're not
100%.
paying what? Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to
100%.
that thing for forever.
Um, Kind of last big subject that we have on the deck today is the LPGA. I guess it's affiliated with the LPGA, their International Crown Cup. I haven't watched much of it. The format's a little janky to me.
Yeah.
I did some screenshots of the last day's results and kind of how it looks. So this is going into the final day today. USA ended up playing in the consolation match. I
Hmm.
think it's Thailand against, I want to say, Australia for the top honors here, and but the drama came from the English team, which did not end up making it to the final round. And two of their players, one which I know you have an affinity for, Charlie Hull and Georgia Hall, pulling out at the last minute. So
Yeah.
they were kind of rumors going into Saturday that they were going to pull out. They officially did pull out on Saturday, but they didn't inform their teammates about it, which
Right.
kind of sucks. And for the two young ladies that ended up stepping in, who were in England at the time, got the call like on Sunday morning. I think one of them said 2 a.m.
Yeah.
and the other kind of a little bit later. I guess once she woke up and saw the text and was scrambling to get their life together. But let's play this clip. A couple of clips that I mashed together from Golf Channel, as well as just like a interview. I don't know if this is playing. I think the sound's playing on the live stream, but not in my ear. So we'll let this play through. Well, it looks like I'm freaking frozen. So let's try this one more again. We're live, so this is real. Looks like it's not gonna work for me. So either way, we had Bronte Law, who's veteran English golfer, just really said, kind of repeated what I said, that it just sucks, and that common courtesy would have been great coming from teammates of why they pulled out. I think some injuries were referenced. What do you think about? I have some deeper thoughts about team golf in general, but in
Hmm.
this scenario here, what do you think about pulling out last minute after I'm sure months of being committed to this event?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, just like what you said, in any team competition, you've had discussions of how you want to proceed as a team. So, in a four-man team, you already know who your duo is going to be, and we're going to fight it out as a duo the whole time. So, when it comes out that all of a sudden you're not going to be there, it's like, bro, what's up? So I for sure get that. And it definitely hurt because you saw it in the interview, like, and I, me, my secondhand embarrassment. I kind of almost had to turn it off because Bronte Law, they kept asking her, and she's like, we found out the same as you, bro. Like,
Right.
it's like, we don't know why they pulled out. We have the team we have now, and that's what we're gonna go forward with. Like, what you want me to say? I'm not gonna badmouth them in public. I'm not gonna badmouth them in front of everybody. They already know how I feel
Yeah.
about it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Stop,
She
stop
went as far.
pressuring me.
She went as far as she was going to go that first time through, and then kind of that's
Exactly.
it. What more can you say?
It was very respectful on Bronte Law. Like, definitely shout out to her. She definitely was a bigger person and way more mature than I would have been. But again, like, it just sucks when you have camaraderie. And of course, as the top English players, y'all all know each other. Y'all all function together. Y'all are all trying to get on the same exemptions and in the same events, whether it be on the LET, on the Solheim Cup, or in the LPGA, whether in any fashion. So for you to pull out and just leave Jody Urt Shadoff and Bronte Law to play with kind of like their second fiddle, no disrespect to Miss Young and Miss Henson, but we already know who the cream of the crop is with them. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. They said that was awkward because they were just sitting
and they
there.
were right there
Uh,
next to him, all four of them in a line, and they're just like damn, like we know we suck, but like bro, like we're still tour players just the same as y'all, bro. Like chill.
I wouldn't say suck, man. It don't suck,
I
but
know
when you're
you
a
know I'm
hundred and
exaggerating.
when you go from the team, your two players that pulled out were ranked in the top 20 in the world to 117th and I think 200 and something. Yeah,
Right.
there's definitely a drop off in talent level.
All I'm saying.
So yeah, I know. But I just don't think that team golf is what it is, man. I just don't.
Right.
I never have. Golf is an individual sport. And yes, there are those special events, which we talk about all the time: Ryder Cup, President's Cup, Solheim Cup. But all these other kind of ancillary events or live golf basing their, a ton of their league on, you know,
Team
the
results.
team aspect, is just overblown. I just don't like it at all. But
Agreed.
I think we beat the crap out of that dead horse. We got a question for you, my guy, from Mr. Dylan Quinton. When are you doing the PAT? I'm doing mine this summer. Good luck. So, you want to talk about your PAT past experience, when you plan on taking it, and any tips that you could give Dylan on, how to handle it, and what you would suggest based on your experience so far?
Yeah. Dylan, I have. So I've done it twice so far. I've done it at both first time, like the first time I did it on a course that I've played before. I felt kind of familiar with, but had to be a little bit more accurate off the tee. So I would say hopefully it's at a course that you know and love, or that you're going to be able to get many practice rounds in, so that you'll have a chance to see where your misses are, where I can score, where I can go a little bit lower to recoup some of the mess ups that you have, and just kind of get used to playing competitive golf, as far as like ball down, putting everything out, no provisionals, anything like that. Making sure when you feel like something's in question, you're checking your rule book, because all those strokes start adding up. So, you go out with the boys, your usual like 75, 76 type deal, it stretches to an 80 because of the pressure. Then all of a sudden you got to take the proper drops. It's not like I didn't re-tee or whatever. I'm just dropping over here like where I went out. Things like that. Those strokes all add up. So things like that is what I would say just to guard against. But of course, I mean, anybody that's taking a PAT feels like they have the game. So I know you're in good hands with yourself, Mr. Q. Just make sure that you have. I would the one of the best things that all the people and my favorite fans have told me is make sure you have a one-way miss for sure when you get there, and make sure that you have one facet of your game that you feel like you can count on, whether that be putting or short game or off the tee. Make sure you know what you can rely on, and the rest will fall into it. Um, just be prepared for a long day. Make sure you have plenty of fluids in you. Make sure you hydrate the day before and get a lot of stretching in, because one thing that happened to me is even in early April for Texas, it was kind of like mid 80s, kind of a little bit on the warmer side for me, or a little bit earlier, it was warmer. But I feel like it was definitely still a thing where mentally you had to be ready and physically you had to be ready. So as long as you're okay there, I feel like you'll definitely be all right, Dylan. So again, just lock in just one time. And with the new way that they're running it, you only have to do one of the qualifying scores at a time anyway. So don't feel like you're necessarily pressured into one and done in it, because pretty much everybody that I've spoken to has taken it more than once. Nobody's really just that unicorn that's got it and had the game and had the mental just right then and there. So don't feel pressured into thinking you need to do it only once, bro. So yeah, try to keep it as quick as possible. But I mean, when you get into things like this, like, man, mentally, like it was draining. Like Rod will tell you, like I talked to him the first time and I was about to break down crying. And the second time, like I was happy and laughing it off and stuff like that. So you just, as long as you're mentally all right and everything like that, I think you'll be okay, bro.
Yeah, good advice. Dylan, good luck to you. Thank you for watching. Thanks for shooting that out there. I think it's a lot of pressure. I think, even if you're playing competitively, there is a different level that probably comes with
Completely,
the
bro.
PAT, even if you do have the game. So good luck to you, man. I think it's a great path. I mean, golf is a game that clearly we love to talk about, love to play. It's something that you can do forever, and that's fulfilling. So good luck to you, man. I really, really do wish you the best
For sure,
of
bro.
luck this summer. So you got a lot of time to get your game, or not a lot, but some months to get your game together if you want to tighten up a few spots. So salute to you.
Definitely.
Um, cool beans, man. Anything left that you want to hit on before we sign off for the weekend?
Um. Ooh. Oh, you know what? I feel like we need to kind of like hit on the hot spots of like where people like where pro players and where people try to hub. So I think like that's something we can think on, and I think that's something we can talk about when we come back after Mother's Day break. So just kind
Yeah,
of have that
that'll
in the
be it.
back of your head, Roddy.
Yep, I got that one on the list. So, we're not filming next week or going live for Mother's Day weekend. I have travel. We'll be out of town, and shout out to our mom, Yolanda, that's always watching and supporting us in this venture on YouTube, and been the best mom we could have ever asked for. So
Truly.
happy early Mother's Day to Yolanda. We love you, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks, Mom.